This is part 2 of the protocols that you can use for the meta crisis or the Great Reset or any kind of crisis that anyone is having in life, because you could always have a crisis no matter what's happening in the world. And the benefit of having these protocols in your life, or any kind of protocols that are going to level you up this pyramid I'm going to show you, is going to allow you to bypass this dense energy that most of society is kept in through many different message units. So let's look at these different message units. The message units would be the media, it would be education, it would be everything the news is saying, and then it's all the people around you that are also affected by all these different message units. So it's this saturation of message units that keeps society in this third density vibration. And when you're trapped in third density vibration, you're susceptible to illnesses, you're susceptible to bad moods, to low energy, and to making all kinds of mistakes in life, and to losing life force altogether. You lose the will to live after a while if this stuff starts to affect you too much. So like people who watch too much news and pay attention to too much of the things that are going on the internet, they are living in third density. So fear, anger, pride, all those things. And courage is actually when you break through to fourth density. So as long as and there's many higher levels all the way up till enlightenment. So the goal is enlightenment. That's when unity and peace, and that's when love is emanating, and there is no more fear, and nothing even affects you. And I've actually had this experience. This really happened. So I was walking down the street, and this was like my second time trying ecstasy, and I passed by this guy sitting on the ground, and he was yelling at nobody. He was just yelling, and he wasn't like a crazy guy who was on drugs or anything, because he was dressed normal, but he was like sitting on the ground yelling, I'll fuck you up, like going nuts. And it was weird because the ecstasy was kicking in, and I wasn't afraid of him. My first reaction to him was compassion. Like I felt bad for him. So as I approached him, he started calming down. He actually kind of checked himself, and then I spoke to him, and I just asked him for directions. I didn't even need directions, but I just felt like speaking to him. So I was like, hey man, you know how to get to Fullerton or whatever? And he calmed down a lot. He started breathing slower, and he's like, yeah man, just take a right over there. And he the energy, because that's the thing about energy, the dominant energy, the higher vibrational energy is going to absorb the lower energy. That's how it is. Same thing with your mind. The dominant thought is going to overpower the weaker thought. That's why it's so hard to get over habits and all these things. So energy is real. Energy, vibration, and frequency is the way things are. So when you practice these certain protocols, what it does is that it brings you out of third density, so that when you go back into third density, which is what you have to do because you live in society, nothing is going to bother you, and you're not going to be reactive to people and triggers. So we talked about in the last video the protocols, which was first rewriting your negative thoughts, but there's a lot of physical protocols too, and the physical protocols are just as important. So this is, and I'm not going to talk about going into a crazy martial arts program and all that, which is really like the ultimate thing to do, but for not everybody is able to do that or wants to do that. But this is, no matter who you are, if you just start doing this, I'm telling you, it's an instant wealth transfer, meaning because health, like having a strong body, it's an instant wealth transfer. Because think about it, if you're a trillionaire and you have a messed up body or a terminal illness, you will give it all up for one more day or one more week in a healthy, vibrant body. And then on the reverse side, if you are in a spiritually empowered, healthy body and you are spiritually successful, You can walk into a room with anybody. Presidents, billionaires, it doesn't matter if you have $0 in your pocket. Your energy will be match theirs, if not more. You will be able to hang with them and not feel the same thing as someone else who cares about all that stuff, who is trapped in third density. Oh God, that guy's a millionaire, and that guy he's this guy, and that person's that person. You don't care because you are you. You have arrived. And that's all you need to worry about in life. That's who you're going to war with every day. You're not going to war with people outside of you. Nobody's messing up your life. You're the only one that is messing up your life. So this whole thing is people want to go to war, which is not bad as long as you know who to go to war with. You got to go to war with yourself. So let me get to the protocol for physical, something to do for your physical body. Is just lower body exercises right when you wake up in the morning, to start your day with lower body exercises. The reason why for that is because a simple lower body exercise is going to release all kinds of hormones, growth hormones, testosterone, and you can feel the difference when you wake up and get going, whatever you do, drink coffee or whatever it is. But make sure that you have some kind of lower body workout. So maybe you've never done like squats before, but just start with some squats and lunges. So this would just be, and you could start with body squats, and you could look this up on the internet for perfect form, ass to heels, all this stuff, and do what you can do and just start the habit going. You're not trying to kill yourself. You're just trying to install this habit. So just do what you know that you can easily accomplish, but just make sure you do it. And I'm telling you, you're going to feel an energy boost, in not just physical, but mental energy boost. And also you will feel that level up and then into that fourth density where, okay, courage is starting to be right there. And then also I'm not as affected by fear and anger and all those lower third dimensional frequencies. The next thing too is that what this is going to do, the lower body weight exercises, is that it's going to make you drink a lot of water. So as you're doing this, you're pumping oxygen and blood throughout your whole entire system, because the lower body workouts, it's kind of almost a full body workout. It's going to do the back, the arms, and your whole entire, it's going to develop your power. All the power, it comes from the base. It comes from the core and the legs. So you're going to have overall body strength just by doing this little habit like every morning. So like right now, I started doing this when I first started, and I first started like where I've been super consistent was I was barely doing 10 squats when I first started, and then now I'm at 130 weighted squats. So 60 pound weights, so it's 30 in each hand, so that's 60 pounds, and then 130 squats, and then the next day I'll do the same thing but with lunges. And then I alternate, and that's every morning. It's like this, and you are charged for the rest of the whole entire day, because even when you reach the afternoon, the effects are still there. So it's actually even easier to carry on a second and third workout later on. So we got the rewriting your thoughts, we got the lower body weight exercises in the morning, and then water throughout the whole day. The water is so important because you're made of mostly water, but then also a water is a conductor of electricity. So it's good for your aura. It's good for your energy. Remember we talked about the chi, about how that's that subtle energy body that is outside of your physical body that is actually powering your internal organs and holding the electrical signal between your heart and brain. So that's coherence. So this is the next protocol, is called coherence. This is actually a Greg Braden terminology, coherence. And Greg Braden, you could look him up. And so this coherence thing, it's stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. It's super similar. This is more specific. So coherence is basically the way that you can do this if you could do this also with a high heart rate, this isn't a relaxation it is a relaxation technique, but you can do this while you're working out with a high heart rate, or you could also do this when you're relaxing. And all it is it's breathing where your exhalation is longer than your inhalation. So what that does is it stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system is what arms you for fight or flight. It gets your adrenaline up, your heart rate up. And that's what makes some people go into fight or flight when they have anxiety, or when they have stress, they go into fight or flight. So establishing coherence before you go into a stressful situation, like if you have to have a difficult talk with someone or a work meeting, difficult phone call or something, you would want to establish coherence before the call, before the meeting. So you just sit for 3 minutes, it's got to be a solid 3 minutes, and do this breathing where you're stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system and establishing that heart-brain coherence. And also the thing with the lower body exercises in the morning combined with the coherent practice that you're using all the time throughout the day, every day, is that it's going to increase your HRV, which is heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is your stress tolerance. It's how well you can adapt to stress. So if you have a low heart rate variability, your heart rate, it's like something happens, you can't respond. It's like, oh, it's so stressful. But if you have a high heart rate variability, something stressful happens, boom, I'm on it. It's not even an issue because you have that strong ability to adapt to stress with that good, strong, healthy HRV. And so these are the protocols that is going to bring up your HRV. It's going to release all your hormones, and it's also, as you age, your bone density weakens. So this is good if you're aging too. You need to have resistance on your skeleton, on the skeletal system, musculature, otherwise it's all going to deteriorate. So these protocols, as you approach into this unknown, as you're approaching the unknown, wherever you're going, no matter what, even if you're going to go to, especially if you're going to go somewhere where there's danger, you're going to want to be as healthy and vital and strong as possible. So this is the thing to look forward to. If you're disabled or something and you can't do these things, you could still do all the other things. And you can still find ways to get this sort of stimulation. There's other ways, but those would be specific to your disability. So one more thing I'll just mention is "do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law" was this saying by Aleister Crowley that I would hear all the time growing up, and I never exactly knew what it meant. Like sometimes it sounds like it means do whatever you want. "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law" is the saying. And it sounds like he's saying just do whatever you want. But now, as I've been going through this spiritual initiation, I have read these words differently. And this is just my own interpretation, so I could actually be wrong, but it's my interpretation. So I actually think "do what thou wilt" actually means do what the will, your willpower wants to do. So like climbing a mountain. Because the other thing too is you have to remember that Aleister Crowley was kind of an extreme athlete. Like he climbed K2. He scaled K2 in the Himalayan mountains. And I think he killed a bunch of people, died on that expedition, and he's like, keep going. But anyway, so I think what that actually means is "do what thou wilt." It means the opposite of "do what you want," because what you want, when you're talking about you, it's really what your lower body wants. It's what I'm tired, or I'm hungry, or I don't feel like doing that. It's that the will wants to achieve this goal, this higher goal. So "do what thou wilt," I think what it really means is ignore all the things that your body is telling you or your mind is telling you, that you ignore your feelings and obey your mind. That's the way I read it. It's ignore your feelings and obey your mind when it comes to achieving something with a higher goal, something that is meaningful to you. Whether it's competing at something, or going on a long hike, or climbing a mountain, or whatever it is, winning a contest, whatever it is, difficulties are going to come up. You're not going to feel like training every single day, but "do what thou wilt" shall be the whole of the law. Because if you develop the power of will, that is what's going to carry, that's what's going to allow you to break through and make these breakthrough discoveries. So do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. That's how I interpret it. And hope I'm right, because that's how I interpret it.